feels in here. And if it feels a little off to you, don't worry about it. He'll catch you up. He'll get you where you need to be on this particular evening. Welcome to Sunrise Christian Fellowship, where joy does come in the morning. I am Pastor Keith. It's looking good in here. Those of you that's on that back row, y'all family, come on up, fill it in so we can make some more. I need to look and see how we feeling this in. God is moving around here, and so I'm happy about it. I'm so glad to have all of you here in the house with us. We are moving into a new series. God is doing something here at New Antioch. He's doing something here at Sunrise Christian Fellowship. God has called us to do something. He wants us to make some disciples. He says, we got enough people that just come to church. I got enough people that just sit in the seats. I got enough people that say they Christian. I got enough folks that read their Bible. I got enough folks that say that they actually pray. I got enough people that say I go to church. What I'm looking for and what I'm looking for is I need some more disciples. I need what needs to go forth. He told us in his word to go out and make disciples. And so we are on a mission to make some disciples. And so we are giving out a holy invitation for you to follow us on this year as we follow Christ into the things that makes you a disciple. And so last week we talked about the things that make you a disciple. And for the next 2 months, we're going to talk about holiness, because holiness is a part of being a disciple. And I'm not going to lie to y'all, for the longest time when I heard the word holiness, I just didn't think that applied to me. Because if somebody asked me, was I holy today? More than likely, I'm going to say no. Am I living a holy lifestyle? I don't know if I'm holy. I'm good. I'm living a good lifestyle. I'm all right. But I don't know if I would say I'm holy. Holy sounded like my grandma. Holy sounded like the saints that can shout. Holy sounded like somebody that can lay some hands on somebody. When I hear holy, I think about somebody in a wheelchair and you put your hands on them and they get up out of it. Holy is that. Holy is the one where, your grandfather that can tell you everything you've been doing and he wasn't nowhere near you. Right. To me, that's what holy was. But I'm glad that we're doing this particular series, because when we talk about holiness, what also comes to my mind is I used to hear them saying that you need to be holy. And I would be like, all that stuff that it takes to be holy, does it take all that? Does it really take all of that to be holy? Is it really all that serious? Can't I be good and saved? Why I got to be holy on top of that? Right? Can't I just be good and saved? Why I got to be holy? And then I want to know, what do you get from all that stuff that y'all do to be holy? All that praying, all that fasting, all of that reading that Bible. When I hear holy, I see that gold Gideon Bible for some reason in my mind. That's what I see. It's like all of that to be holy. Like I gotta go to church Monday and then Wednesday and then Thursday and then Saturday and then go to church at 8 a.m. for Sunday school and then 9 o'clock service and then we get out at 3 and then you go to rallies and eat and then you back at 6 and then you're there all day and then you got to go to the worship service on Monday. You got holy convocations. Y'all taking weeks off of y'all job to go all the way in Memphis to do all this. Does it really take all this stuff to be holy? I can't cuss. I can't lie. I can't cheat. I can't, do a little something with my girl over here. I can't be thinking bad stuff. I can't watch TV. My grandma would say that's the devilish box. And she wouldn't even let us watch TV. I can't watch TV, all this stuff. Does it really take all this stuff to be holy? And what do I get from being holy? And I'm so glad that y'all asked all of those questions that I asked as well. Because I went looking. And what I found is that we put a lot more on it than really God intended for us to put on it. When you look at what holy means, when you look it up in the Greek, what it means is a word called hagios. And what that basically means is to be set apart for a special purpose. That's it. It means to be set apart for God. It means to be dedicated and consecrated to God. It means to just have a little bit of moral purity, some sacredness to your life. If you look at what it means in the Old Testament, as far as what the Hebrew would say, it means it's a separation from sin and a dedication to God. That's it. So if you have today been purposely trying to get away from sin and get closer to God, you can raise your hand and say, I had a holy day today. I'm moving my way on to holiness. if I've been moving a little bit away from sin and closer to God, I've been having a holy day. You may not have thought you was having a holy day, but it's really all of that. It's saying, God, I'm trying to get myself in a place where you can do something with me. God, I'm trying to get myself in a spot where you can use me, where I am available to you. I'm trying to be in the best possible condition for you to be able to do what you want to do. And here's the trick about it. We do this in the natural all the time. When you get hired for a job, what do they do when they hire you? They train you. Yep. Because you don't know how to do the job that they hired you to do. Right. All you are doing is saying, help me to get in the best position to know how to do what it is that you are asking me to do on my job. Or you went to school for it, right? You went to college and you got a degree. So now you are qualified. You are in a position to be properly used for the job that you applied for. God is asking for the same thing when he says for you to be holy. Yeah. I just want you to do a couple of things to get yourself in the best possible position so I can utilize you. But this is what I want y'all to hold on to. It started giving all these other things that also align with holy. And one of the ones I love that jumped out to me, it says, holy means to be different from the world. Be different from the world.
That's right.
That's what it means to be holy. It says to be pure, but not perfect. And that's where we make the mistake. Yeah. You hear holy and you think you have to be perfect, but that's not what it's asking you to be. Christ is perfect and we are made perfect through him. But in this body that we in, we are not perfect. We are going to make mistakes, but you can be pure and not perfect. Yeah. You can take a water bottle that's got pure water in it, and you can crunch that water bottle up. Now, that water that's still in there is still what? Pure. But is the bottle what? It's imperfect. Yeah. What it's in is still imperfect, but it's pure on the inside. God is asking for you to just be different from the world, consecrated, to actually dedicate yourself to him. Set yourself apart. Allow yourself to be utilized for a special purpose, to be pure, but not perfect. And then when you think about the word holiness, it means to be the state of being holy. Really, what that means is just putting holiness into action. Holiness is me actually putting what I said, being consecrated and set apart. Now I'm going to put that into action. And when I put it into action, that represents holiness. Yes. But I knew it was going to be an issue of a word, so I wanted to find a different word for y'all that I think is going to help. I'm a little bit of a nerd. This is going to help all the Gen Zers, all those that are above the Gen Zs that are seasoned. Just stay with me, I promise you. Holiness is the action of it. It's doing something. It's the doing part of being holy. Holiness also, if you want to think about it in a different way, holiness is like an algorithm. Okay. Let's go to our scripture. We're gonna walk y'all there. Let's go to our scripture. Daniel chapter 1. We're gonna go to verse number 6 through 9, and we're gonna go to verses 18 through 20, because we're gonna walk this thing out. Daniel's going to answer those questions. Does it take all that? Is it really that serious? And what do I get from being holy? So we got Daniel chapter 6, verse number 6. Daniel chapter 1, verse 6, 1 through 9. It's available for you on the screen. And it reads, let's read it together. Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah were 4 of the young men chosen, all of the tribe of Judah. The chief of staff named them with these Babylonian names. Daniel was called Mishael was called Meshach. Azariah was called Abednego. But Daniel was determined not to defile himself by eating the food and wine given to them by the king. He asked the chief of staff for permission not to eat these unacceptable foods. Now God had given the chief of staff both respect and affection for Daniel. When the training period ordered by the king was completed, the chief of staff brought all the young men to King Nebuchadnezzar. The king talked with them, and no one impressed him as much as Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, so they entered the royal service. Whenever the king consulted them in any matter requiring wisdom and valid judgment, he found them 10 times more capable than any of the magicians and enchanters in his entire kingdom. All right, you can have your seats. I said that the action of being holy is holiness. It's something that's being put into action. But I said another way to think about it, it works like an algorithm. So tonight we're going to talk about holy algorithm.
All right.
We're going to talk about holy algorithm. Let me explain what I mean. Let me define my terms so y'all can stay with me on tonight. Stay with me on tonight. Stay with. I promise you, I'm so excited. It's going to bless you if you just stay with me on tonight. I'm so excited about this because I've never seen this before and I've read the story so many times. An algorithm is a step-by-step procedure for solving a problem. An algorithm is a step-by-step procedure for accomplishing something. An algorithm is a set of rules that a person or a machine follows to achieve a particular goal. Remember, we said holy means to be set apart by God. It means to be set apart for a specific purpose. It means to be consecrated. It means to be dedicated to God. And when you put that into action, that is holiness. Another way to look at that is it's a step-by-step procedure for solving the problems that you have in your life. It's a step-by-step procedure for accomplishing the things that you need to accomplish in your life. It's a set of rules. Yeah. It's a set of things that you need to follow in order to achieve what it is that God is trying to do in your life. Yeah. That is what holiness is. So you can look at it as the same as an algorithm. God has given us an algorithm. It's right down here in this book that many of you don't open up. He's given us an algorithm of what we're supposed to do. And it helps us, if we follow it, to be holy. And so you ask yourself, does it take all of that? Do I really got to give up all this stuff? Do I really got to consecrate myself? Do I really need to do? What do I get from all of that? Let's look at what Daniel went through, and you tell me what happened with this. I picked Daniel because Daniel was a young man when this happened. In chapter 1, let me walk y'all through the story. King Nebuchadnezzar, the one that you couldn't mark, I got you. Nebuchadnezzar, that's how you say that. King Nebuchadnezzar, he came and he overthrew the land of Judah, which is where Daniel lived. Now, the Bible says that God gave him the land. God gave it over to him. Meaning God was in the middle of all of this that was already going on. God was already had this going on. He gave the land over to King Nebuchadnezzar. And what Nebuchadnezzar did was he came in, he said, listen, I want you to bring me all of the good-looking men, all of the good-looking women, all the young ones, all the ones that are smart, all the ones that are wise. Bring them with me, and we're going to take them back to Babylon. And he did this every place that he went. He did this to one, show his dominance, and he did it also because what he wanted was a stable of wise people in his network and within his service. So everywhere that he went, he took their best and their brightest, and he brought them back to his palace, and he put them under training. Now, Daniel had already consecrated his life to God. Daniel had already given his life to God. Daniel had already said that I'm going to live by God, what God tells me to do. I'm going to be holy. I have an algorithm that they've already taught him what it was that he was supposed to know to remain holy. And yet that same God allowed him to be captured. Yet that same God allowed him to be taken because he was good, because he was holy, because he was smart, because he was consecrated. That's what got him selected to be a captive, to be taken to another land completely. Are you with me? So then he gets there, and the king tells him, put them into training. This is what I want you to do. For 3 years, they're going to go into training. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to train them in our Babylonian stuff. They're going to learn our Babylonian ways. They're going to learn our education. They're going to learn how we eat. They're going to learn how we talk. So he learned how to speak Aramaic. He learned what Babylonians do. He learned their culture. For 3 years, he put them into this training of Babylon. And what they were trying to do to Daniel, what they were trying, and him and the other men that was still on the list, he was trying to get them to assimilate to that culture.
Yeah.
And what they were doing by trying to make them assimilate to the culture was they were changing certain things that Daniel already had fundamentally in him. What they were trying to do was change his algorithm. You know when you're on your social media feed, right? Yeah. And you just for some random reason click on something that you normally don't click on. Let's say it's soccer. And then you click on soccer. And now all of a sudden your feed starts showing you more soccer. And you're like, I'm not really interested in soccer like that. I just looked up that one thing one time. Or if you like me and believe the government's listening, you mention something out loud when your phone ain't even on. And now all of a sudden, I'm getting a bunch of ads for that same thing over and over and over again. What it is the algorithm, in the way that we typically use it, is the algorithm looks at what it is that you're interested in, and it's designed to give you more of what it thinks that you want. It's designed to give you more of what it thinks that you're interested in. And so if I want to change you and I want to make you somebody that I can actually utilize, I got to change the stuff that you're hearing, seeing, thinking, speaking, and even how you identify yourself.
Yeah.
So he was trying to change Daniel and the Hebrew boys' culture, and he was trying to change their algorithm. And it gets deep. Think about this. Daniel's name, he gave them new names. Daniel's name is God is my judge in Hebrew. He gave him the name Belteshazzar. Belteshazzar means Baal, which is one of their gods, protect my life. So now my name no longer means God is my judge. Now my name means your idol protect my life. Hananiah's name means Lord show me grace. They changed it to Shadrach. And so Hananiah went from Lord show me grace to now my name means under the command of Aku, which is a moon god. So he's trying to change and break their affiliation to what they know. He's trying to break their algorithm to the things that's held them and kept them together. Mishael, his name is who is like God. They changed it to Meshach, which is who is Aku. They trying to get them to identify. I'm going to give you a Babylonian name that's attached to a whole another religion, that's attached to a whole another place and a whole other place of people. Azariah, the Lord helps us is what that means. Abednego means servant of Nego. I went from the Lord helps me to now I'm a servant of Nego, which is just their God of learning and writing. What they try to do and what the world also tries to do is they change you. They even change how you identify. When you join the military, they change what you wear. Because they need you to be like them.
Right.
They cut your hair because they need you to be like them. They even change your name. They call you Private Williams, Sergeant Williams, Lieutenant Williams, right? They even identify you. You're more identified by Staff Sergeant than you are by your last name. They try to get you to assimilate to what they do. Let me take it down your street. When you get on Instagram, for some reason, you don't put your name as Andrew. Now you big bag, you know what I'm saying? Big money. I don't know. Now you missed the 4 extra 8 times. When you join a game, it's not okay for you to join a game and for you to just flat out say, my name is Barbara. That's not what you can do. Your game name can't be Barbara. That's not what you're allowed to be. Now you got to be Big Barbara. Now you got to be Gang Bang Barbara. Now you got to be something else. They change your name because they need you to change what you know, what you've been, what you believe. They're trying to change your algorithm. They want to change, again, what you do, how you, the set of rules that you go about doing something. They want to change this thing. And that's what the king was doing. The Babylonians tried to change their way of thinking by giving them Babylonian education. They tried to change their loyalty by giving them different names. They tried to change their lifestyle by changing their diet. They wanted them to change their algorithm. But in verse number 8, we run into Daniel saying, I've already made a decision. In case you didn't know, holiness is a decision.
Yes.
It's something you have to already have decided in your mind. You have to already make the decision. This is how I'm going to operate. I'm going to be different from the world. I'm going to be different from everybody else. I'm going to be set apart. I'm going to be called and consecrated for what God wants me to do. And I'm going to operate by the steps that he gives me, the procedures that he gives me, the set of rules that he tells me to follow in everything that I do. You need to have that already identified, because if you have to make that decision once the temptation is there, it's too late. If you say that I'm going to be holy, but you didn't make that decision, I'm going to be holy, it's too late when you're already on the couch and she's sitting on you. It's too late. You didn't. It's too late. You can't decide now, I think I want to be holy. Everything in you is going to tell you, I don't want to be holy anymore. It's too late. You would have already made that decision when she said, do you want to come up? No, I don't want to come up. I can't come up. Why? I've already made a decision that I'm going to stay with my holy algorithm. God tells me I can't do these certain things. This is how I'm going to operate, and I'm deciding to stick with it. Daniel had to make a decision when they decided to bring him all of this food that the king ate. And they said, listen, this is how we eat. And he brings it to him. And Daniel and his friends had already made a decision that they're going to remain. They're going to stay in God's holy algorithm. And we don't eat that kind of stuff. No, sir, we don't do that. So they refused the food. And they did it for a few different reasons. Some say they did it because that food was forbidden by Jewish law. Others say he did it because Daniel understood that was the first step to now relying on the king's gifts instead of what God told him to do. And so he tells him, no, I don't want that. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start eating vegetables and water. And the servant said, well, I don't know. The king may kill us for that. I don't think we're going to do this. So Daniel said, have you ever seen anybody and what they look like when they're holy? Have you ever seen what it looks like with somebody? Here's what we'll do. Let's put it to the test. Y'all eat what y'all eat. I'm going to stay with my holy algorithm over here. And in 10 days, you tell me who looks better after 10 days. I'm going to do it God's way, and you do it your way. And you tell me which way looks better. You tell me which one works out a little bit better. A lot of times we say holiness is too hard. Do you even know what holiness looks like on you? You might look a little bit better if you actually gave it a try for a decent amount of time. If you actually put it into your life and allow that stuff to happen. So after 10 days, the guy comes back. He's like, man, y'all look pretty good. We're going to allow y'all to go ahead and continue doing that. Y'all can continue eating what you want to eat. Again, Daniel is involved in this culture, but he's finding a way not to be of the culture. He's around it, but he's not giving up his ways. He's not giving up what he's trying to do. And so then he continues with that, right? And it gives him favor. And so what he ends up doing is they decide that they're not going to do it that particular way, and they're going to continue to keep eating the way that God told them to do it. And so Daniel, at the end of the test, they get to a point to where after their 3 years, the king comes and he wants to test them. He wants to look at the whole group and see how everybody's doing. Now, here's the part that I want y'all to catch, because I didn't necessarily even see this before. After 3 years, Daniel had studied astrology, mathematics, all this Babylonian culture, all of this language, all this Aramaic, and him and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego all were better, 10 times better than everybody else that was in their class. So what I want you to catch in that is he still was competent in the culture that he was around. He knew it. He was aware of it. He was familiar with it. He studied it. He was prudent of it. But he did not compromise what it was that he said that he was going to do. He did not come away and change the way that he already said he was. He held on to what God gave him. He held on to his algorithm that God told him to abide by. But he did learn the stuff that he wanted to. The king wanted them to learn. Now, here's why that is important. In the culture that you're in the stuff that you're in, what you are around, you do have to know some of this stuff. I'll give you an example for myself. I am called to know your generation. I need to know what y'all are into. I need to know what y'all talk about. I need to know what's familiar. I need to know what's popular. I need to know what's trending. How am I going to shepherd? How am I going to lead? How am I going to witness to you guys if I don't even know the language or the lingo or even what you guys are involved in or getting involved in, right? And so what happens to me is every so often something comes along my timeline, starts showing up in my text threads, showing up in my time feed that I don't know nothing about. And a while ago, there was a young lady that cooks. That everybody was talking about that started showing up in my timeline and started showing up in conversations. Oh my goodness. And I'm like, I tend to know who these, YouTubers are. I tend to know when the new, musical artist comes out. I tend to know who these folks are. But they kept dropping this young lady's name, and I'm like, I don't know who this person is. I don't know who she is. I don't know what this whole thing about cooking with this young lady was all about. That's how I looked. And so what I did was I decided to go look. I need to know.
No.
Yeah.
And so I went. And I searched. And I found out. And in one video, I realized this is not for me. This is not something that is going to help me to stay holy. This is not something that's going to feed my spirit. But here's the thing. I'm now competent in that situation. Now when y'all bring it up, I know what you're talking about. But what happened was the algorithm thought I was interested in it. So what started happening? It started showing up more of this content on my timeline. And because the algorithm thought I was interested in this. But here's what happened. I did not engage in the algorithm or in those posts anymore. I didn't keep clicking on them. They showed up from time to time, and I moved right along. The because he's not engaging in that food anymore. And what happened was the algorithm fixed itself. I don't get those posts anymore because the algorithm figured out I don't care about that. I do like to cook, but I don't want to cook for that particular person. I don't need that type of content. That's not what I'm looking for. And so even in the natural, the algorithm fixed itself. In scripture, resist the devil and he will flee. If y'all don't click on it, it'll stop showing up on your timeline.
All right, that's it. I get that part.
You can know some stuff. You can be competent. You can be aware of it. But you can be like Daniel. You just don't engage. You don't get involved in it. You say, I got a holy algorithm that I got to keep on. There's a step-by-step procedure. There's a set of rules that I do. I am set apart. I'm different from the world. I'm pure, not perfect, but I am set apart and separated for God. So some of this stuff I can't be involved in. I know about it, but it's not for me. So then you have the king. He has this issue that comes about. And the king, with all his power, with all his might, with his abilities, Zaria, to be able to come in and take people, to be able to throw over all these kingdoms, to be able to just come. He was the most powerful man on the planet at that particular time. And he has a problem because he can't sleep. And I wish I had time to talk to y'all about that part of it, because with all his power, with all his might, with all his money, with all his soldiers, with all this stuff, can you realize he still had a problem that he couldn't fix? All the stuff that we tend to go after, that we say we can't give up to be holy, don't you know people have that in abundance and they still kill themselves? They still have addictions. They still end up in jail. It don't protect them from being touched. It don't protect them from being robbed. It don't protect them from being depressed. It don't protect them from any of that stuff. But we can't seem to give it up in order to be holy. But anyhow, the king couldn't sleep. And here's what I find interesting. The king knew that Daniel and his friends were wise and well-balanced. It said in the scripture, they were the most wise and well-balanced. And the king, when he had a problem that was bothering him, that he couldn't fix, this dream that he couldn't figure out, instead of going to Daniel, he went to his sorcerers, his enchanters, his mystics, his astrologers. He went to them first. And before y'all get mad at the king, we do the same thing. You wake up and you have a problem, you call your friend. You got an issue, you call your mom. You got another problem, you call your daddy. You can't wait to get work to call your best, your work bestie. You ask this person, you ask that person. Some of y'all think that you're doing the right thing and you'll come to your pastor and ask them first when you can pray just like we can pray. You didn't even think to ask God about what's going on. So don't throw your stones at King Nebuchadnezzar. But why do we do this? Why do we go to man before we go to God? He knew Daniel and his friends were the wisest in his whole bunch, and he didn't bother to even go to them. He went to these other people first. Why? His sorcerers couldn't do what he needed them to do. He tells them, he says, listen, this is what I need y'all to do. I have a dream, and I need to know what's going on. So I need y'all to tell me what the dream is, and I need you to tell me what it means. And they say, bet, we got you. Tell us what the dream was, we'll tell you what it means. He says, no, you didn't hear what I said. I'm going to repeat it. I need you to tell me what my dream was. I had the dream. I know what it was. I want you to tell me what it was. And then I want you to tell me what it means. And they say, bet, King, we got you. Tell us what the dream was, and we'll tell you what it means. And he says, I see what y'all doing. You're stalling, because I'm telling you right now, I'm going to kill you if you don't tell me what my dream was and exactly what it means. And they said, King, no man on the earth can tell you these things. What they needed from the king was what all algorithms kind of need. They need you to put something in there. It needs some kind of input to come in there. It needs some good information. If you put the wrong thing into an algorithm that's a source, the algorithm don't work. It needs some bit of truth to come into it for it to even begin to operate. Those soothsayers and those sorcerers was like, give us a little bit of the truth and don't worry about it. We'll take it and we'll come back, and more than likely we'll give you an answer that you want to hear. Which is, it don't say that in the Bible, but that might be why he went to them first. Because they was going to tell him exactly what he wanted to hear. But the king wanted the absolute truth. And he said, that's not going to work for me. If y'all can't tell me what what my dream was, and you can't tell me exactly what it means, I'm going to kill all of y'all. All of the wise men. Now, unfortunately, this included Daniel, me, and his friends. They were included in this. And so the servant comes and says, Daniel, we're here to kill you. And Daniel says, wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Kill me, why? And he said, because the kings had this dream, nobody could tell him what the dream was and whatnot. Daniel gets right up and says, hold on, let me go talk to the king. He goes straight into the king and he tells the king, give me a moment, give me some time. I'm going to not only be able to come back and tell you what your dream was, but also what it meant. Daniel has so much belief in his holy algorithm. He has so much faith in God. He has so much belief in the Lord. He has so much belief in God. He said, hold on, all I got to do is go over here because God has already given me step-by-step procedures of what it is I'm supposed to do if I get into a problem, if I need some help, if I need you to do something for me. He says, I already know what to do. Just give me a minute, King. And so he goes back and he goes to his network, his friends, and he says, listen, this is what we need to do. We need to go to God and we need to ask God for an answer. That's what we need to do. We need to go to God in prayer. And Daniel did something that I found real interesting because he stayed holy. Because I'm going to be honest with you, Matthias. If my life was on the line and it's all behind a meeting that some people had and I wasn't invited to the meeting, I might go ask the people that was at the meeting what was said in the meeting. Daniel didn't go ask the soothsayers and the sorcerers what they talked about with the king because he knew that they were unholy. I'm just saying, if my life was on the line, I might have asked them for some information. But Daniel believed so much in his holy algorithm. He believed so much in the way that God had told him to dedicate and stay himself and stay different from the world that he said, I don't even need to consider them. I'm going to go straight to the source and we're going to go to God together. And so they went to God together. They asked God for an answer. And because they stayed doing what God did, God gave them access to a different type of algorithm. God gave them access to what I like to call a search algorithm.
Yeah. All right.
God gave them a search algorithm. For those of you who don't know what a search algorithm is, it's a procedure that determines what kind of information is retrieved from a large mass of data. Google is a search algorithm. You put in what you want, it goes out into all the massive information everywhere on the internet, and it says that's what you're looking for, and it brings it back to you. The king had a dream. That dream could have been about anything. It could have been about yellow cats and upside down trees. It could have been about anything on the planet. They had no idea what this dream was about. But because they went to God and they stayed in what God told them to do, God gave them access to a search algorithm and said, I'll go through, I'll find what dream the king had, I'll bring it back to you, and I'll tell you exactly what it means. Because I gave you access, because you were holy enough, I gave you access to a different type of algorithm, a search algorithm. It could have been anything in the world. And God gave it to them. Because they had faith, because they believed, because they were obedient, because they were set apart. If Daniel had not been set apart, this is where they would have died. This is where the whole story of Daniel would have ended right here. So they get the dream and take it back to the king. Here's the part I like. He tells the guy that's running the show, he says, don't kill none of the wise men. Now Daniel, who's a captive, is now disobeying and giving orders to people that are under the king. He said, don't kill nobody. I'm going to talk to the king. Daniel don't have no authority to tell him not to kill nobody. He don't have no authority to do that, but he's bold now. He says, don't tell him, don't kill nobody. And here's the thing. It saved him. It saved his friends. And it saved even his enemies. Those sorcerers got saved. This is what I'm saying when I said about when you ask God to fill you up. You don't know who all is going to be blessed by the fact that you remain holy. You don't know who all is going to be blessed by the fact that you decided to do it God's way. Do you know how many of y'all are benefiting because only 2 or 3 people in your family decided to do it God's way? You got into that school because grandma did it God's way. You got that car because your mama did it God's way. You're still here because of these things. Daniel was able to get everybody a part of this thing. And so he goes to the king. And he tells the king, he says, listen, king, number one, I know your dream. And I'm going to tell you what it means. He's like, but I need you to understand, it wasn't me. I wasn't the one that understood all this stuff. My God was the one that told me everything. My God was the one that gave all this stuff to me. My God was the one that gave me all these answers. It was also my God that sent you the dream that you didn't understand. It was my God that gave you something that you could not understand. It was my God that sent you an encoded dream that you couldn't understand. You are the king of everything, got access over everything else, and my God sent you something that you couldn't even understand. He gave you an encoded dream. And it was God that also saw me in my holiness that gave me access to something else, one more type of algorithm that was able to explain it. What God gave him access to, the third one, was an encrypted algorithm. He gave him an encrypted algorithm. For those of you that don't know what an encrypted algorithm is, I love this one. An encrypted algorithm is basically a set of rules by which information and messages are encoded so that unauthorized people can't read them. Let me make it plain.
Yeah.
Your debit card has your address, your bank account, how much money you have in there, your past transactions for the last year and a half. It has your social security card. All of that stuff is on your bank card. But when you pull it out, none of that information can be seen by anybody except for the person that has authorized to be able to see that information. Why? Because it's encoded in that little chip that you got on your bank card. It keeps people that should not be able to see this stuff from being able to see it. God sent the king an encoded and encrypted dream that he could not figure out, and he only gave access to one person that he knew was holy enough to be able to see the information. And so he gave him access to the encoded information. What he made Daniel was, he took Daniel and allowed Daniel to be able to be a decoder of encoded information. If you're asking me, what do you get from being holy? You have the ability to see stuff that other people don't see. You have the ability to know stuff that other people don't know. You have the ability to do things that other people can't do. You can tell what's affecting other people. You can watch the news and not be upset because you know what God told you 2 years ago. But when I tell you flat-footed, I watched a woman that is holy tell us that COVID was going to happen in December, verbatim, what month it was going to happen on New Year's Eve, and killed our party because we was having a good time. And she told us that this was going to happen. She said verbatim, listen, something is coming, and it is going to tear the United States and every household down to its very knees, and it will be here by March. And she was right. Why? Because she was holy. God had allowed her to see in the encrypted algorithm of all the stuff that was going on. We was partying and was walking right past all the signs, and she saw everything that was going on because she lived a holy lifestyle, because she was consecrated, because she stayed set apart, different from the world, pure but not perfect. It was why she was able to see this stuff. Is it worth it? What do you get from being holy? You get all this information. You get all this understanding. You get to be able to take everything that you have going on in your life and actually know what I'm supposed to do about it. Me and the guys met this week, and I started explaining to them that everything that you're going through in your life, every test that you have going on, every situation that is happening to you, every struggle that you have going on, whatever it may be, don't you understand that you're going through a test, but it's an open book test? It's an open book test. All of the answers are right in the book. God gave you every answer to every issue, every problem, every situation that you have going on, and it's right here in the book, and we just refuse to read it. We refuse to follow it. We act like this algorithm, we believe Google over this, which makes absolutely no sense because Google does not know the future. Right. There's things that are encoded in this thing that you can find out that Google cannot give you. What you have going on in your life is an open book test. What do you get from holiness is you get to live a blessed life. A life that has answers. A life that you know some things that are going on. More on top of that, when Daniel did what he did, it made the king understand that God was God. It allowed him to bring non-believers to become believers. Your holiness is attractive. I know it seems like it's pushing people away, but the truth of the matter is your holiness is attractive. It's bringing people in. They don't understand how you go through what you go through and you're still okay. They don't understand. Nobody understands how y'all got that car. Still, people don't understand how you buy a house and you get a free car to go along with it. It don't make any sense whatsoever. It just happens to happen that way. But they want to know now, and when you say it was just God, which God? What God you know that's giving away houses and cars? That's the one I need to be a part of. That's the one I want to follow with. It's attractive to people when God starts doing stuff. You will bring non-believers to Christ.
Yes.
What I do love about the King, and this is the only shout out I'll give him because he gets the tripping later on. He gets the tripping. When the King understood what Daniel did, the King made Daniel and his 3 friends the chiefs over all the wise men. He said, you know what? I need more life around me. I need more people that speaks truth around me. I need more people that know some stuff around me. I need some more people that's holy around me. I don't need a bunch of people that's telling me stuff that I just want to hear. I don't need people that just can entertain me and keep me occupied and keep me happy. I need people that actually have some power. I need some people around me that what he did was he decided to reset his entire algorithm. Threw it out the window. Threw it completely out the window. Because all of that stuff that was coming to him wasn't helping him. And so my last question that I have on tonight is, how is your algorithm? What is talking to you? What has access to you? What is being said to you? What actually comes to your mouth? What is coming out of your mouth? What are you actually hearing? What do your friends say to you? What is going on? If you have, I really want to know, are your friends taking you closer to sin or closer to God? Is what you watch on TV, is it taking you closer to sin or is it taking you closer to God? Is the stuff that you have going on in your life or what's coming out of your mouth, is it something that's honorable to God or is it honorable to something else? How is your algorithm? Because we're trying to get you to follow like Daniel did. Follow him as he followed God into holiness. And so I want to know, how's your algorithm? Look at the stuff around you. How's the algorithm of your Monday? Because what we tend to have is we have a good algorithm, Tanya, on Saturday. We might have a decent algorithm on Sunday. But by Monday, that Monday algorithm is filthy. That Tuesday algorithm is terrible. Wednesday algorithm needs to be rebuked. Thursday algorithm needs Jesus all over again. We need some help. How is your algorithm? How does your stuff look? The people around you, those that have access to you. The king, when he really needed some truth, he knew I needed some people that are holy, some people that know God, some people that know the truth. And God, Jesus himself is saying, just follow me. If you follow me, because I'm holy, it will make you holy. Follow me. God says, do what I do. Live how I live. Follow my example. And you will be holy. You will have this algorithm, this step-by-step procedure, and these rules and these things that keep you in a blessed life. And will you need it? Yes. If Daniel has shown you anything, yes, you're going to need it. In 2 chapters, this man almost died twice. Twice. And the only thing that saved him was that he decided and he made a decision. I'm going to stay consecrated to God. Whether if I live, whether if I die. It's worth it to me to stay consecrated to God. We're standing. We're standing. We're standing. Because your algorithm, your lifestyle, the way that you're living, what you are actually putting into practice, only you can truly answer that question. Only you can answer that question if it's holy or not. And I really do hope on tonight that you kind of see it a little bit as less of a daunting thing. It's not so much about what all you give up. Because a lot of times that's our problem, is we are upset with what God wants us to give up. But we just seen an example of a man that got a whole lot back just by making the decision to stay with God, to stay alongside with him, to stay with what he has going on, to stay with what he's doing in my life. We need you if you're going to be the disciple to make a decision that you're in, that I'm absolutely in. And whatever that means, God, Wherever that takes me, God. Whatever I have to stand against, God. Whatever I have to fight against, God. Whatever I have to eliminate, God. Whatever I have to add in, God. Whatever it is that you're talking about, it has to get to a point to where you're all right with whatever God brings your way. And being able to stay and remain. If you are going to follow him, it means you have to stay with him. You have to actually follow him wherever he takes you. And as you follow him, he's going to build trust so that you can stay with him. Daniel had to trust. This king was temperamental. This man flew off the chain all the time. This man killed people all the time. This man murdered people all the time. And Daniel made a decision flat out. Wherever you take me, God, that's where I'm going to go. However I end up, that's where I'm going to go. Captive, that's where I'm going to be. A slave to somebody else, that's where I'm going to be. Eating things that you allow me to do, even if I have to say no, if I have to get away from the culture of the day, then that's what I'm going to do. And that's who I want to pray for tonight. I want to pray for those of you that are actually seriously thinking about breaking apart. You actually are thinking about this time. I want to kind of do this the right way. This time I may really want to break apart. This time I may really want to stay. This time it's not because I feel guilty. It's not because I'm scared I'm going to go to hell. It's not because everybody else walked up there. It's not because I'm at an event and everybody else is looking at me so I feel obligated. But no, I feel the pull this time. This time I think it might be for real. This time I think I really do want to stay. And I really want to be set apart for you, God, because I really want to understand. I want to figure out and I want to know what it is that you really have for me. What do you really got planned for me? What are you really going to do with my life? Where are you really going to take me? I'm that interested this time that I'm willing to separate myself from everything and everybody else that has going on. God, I'm willing to actually stay, but I need your help with the breakaway. I need your help with the tearing apart. I need your help with the breakup. In whatever it is, if it's a relationship, I need your help to break me up from that. If it's my addiction and what I do regularly, break me up. My habits, break me up from it. I need some help. I want to break up, but I just don't have it in me to do it. Yeah. God has sent some help on tonight. He says, I see you, and I have instructions for you. Yeah. But before I can give you what those are, I need you to make a decision that you want to break free on tonight. And so if that's you, I want you to come on up here because tonight is your night for you to truly break free on tonight. It is your night for you to truly break free from what you feel has kept you this entire time. Anything that you have that's attached to you, because what we tend to do a lot of times is we don't want to break up with what we have going on because of the fact that we still kind of like it. We still